What did you learn from the last two scrimmages?
Oh, I don't know. Just good to get some younger kids out there on the mound to pitch. I think that's most important. You can't train that in any other area by outside competition. So I think that part was positive. I mean, there's a lot of positives. Obviously, playing another team and going on the road and playing for the first time and traveling for the first time. But I think just trying to watch kids play and try to pick up on the things that they've developed over the last 12 months and the areas that they still need to develop, which is the case with everyone, I guess. But that just playing as a group.
How do you think Brian Ginther is coming along?
He's come along fine. I think there's more strikes in his outings. Pitches aggressively, waiting for the ball in versus both hitters. His comfort level is a year better, which is typically the case. Good. I like the way he plays.
Jonathan Bastine and Troy Leneve, are they hurt?
Yeah, Troy's out for the fall, and he's looking to come back in January and February. And then Vastine is close. I mean, he's training every day. He's just not in a situation where we can play him and he can go at full speed.
What have you seen from the freshman pitchers so far?
The Kanich out there, good, aggressive, pitches aggressive. Had a slow start to the first inning the other day, but thought his response to that first inning was good. Second and third, thought he started to get comfortable and filled it up pretty well. The other kids have just thrown minimally, so Horn has thrown 3 times in scrimmage situations against ourselves and other people. Was going to throw the other day, but we ran out of time. We're good, pretty good. Got a good arm. The makings of a pretty good breaking ball. Just haven't seen enough to. He's talented. He's an ability.
Grayson Carter, I think the other day, hit 100 and 101 on the stadium gun. First, how close to accurate is that? And second, how good has he been about pulling secondary pitches for strikes?
Well, I think he's done a lot with his delivery, and because of that, it seems like he has more body control, number one. He's a very strong and powerful kid. He's worked hard on his body, number one. Number two, he's worked hard on his delivery with Brownie and the staff. The off-speed stuff is better. I wouldn't tell you he's not a finished product, obviously, but breaking stuff is better. He's still got work to do. He's a strong, powerful kid who throws the ball, good velocity, and he's got a chance to be a pretty good power pitcher. But it's commanding, it's getting in the front side of the count. Those are the things he still needs to work on.
What do you think of Alan Espinal's development so far, in the offseason as a hitter?
He's come along. He's made improvements. I think it was good for him to play a lot during the course of the summer. He played with a championship team, which I thought was very beneficial for him. But Espy he loves the game. I mean, he's down here all the time. He loves his team. He loves the training environment. His personality is always the same. He's a very unique young man. His story to get here is unique in and of itself, but the fact that he's here, he shows you his appreciation for being here every single day by how he operates in it. But his hitting is coming along. He's a very strong kid too. You talk about Grayson from a strength standpoint on the mound, and Espy from the strength part offensively. You can see it in the way his barrel flashes and the impact of the ball. It's just more frequency to touch the ball, which has improved.
In the scrimmages against Arizona State, there was, a lot of power hitting, and that was kind of a question last year. Where do you think the team is at from that standpoint?
I'm not sure. I think the part that was good the other day was to put the ball in the middle of the field and the ability to run the bases. Enjoyed watching the guys run the bases. I think we run the bases well. Excuse me, and I think they take pride in it. Well, I know they take pride in it because they function well in the training environment from a base running standpoint too. But we have a chance to play fast because the kids move well. You get guys like TJ McKenzie and Bradfield and Polk in the outfield. They all move well, and even your infielders too. They all move well. So just to get the ball into the outfield and to watch us move around the bases is that's the type of offense, to me at least, that looks good to play. It's enjoyable to watch too.
Speaking of TJ, it seems like, every time I've seen him, he's having a big game. As a senior who barely played his first 3 years, what are you seeing from him this fall?
Improvement, comfort, playing like he belongs. He just trains well too. I can say the same things about TJ as I could Espinal. Very grateful for how he operates here. He's always in a good mood. He's a very happy kid. Plays hard. Runs the bases hard. He's fun to watch. But offensively, I think that's the trigger point where he's gotten better. Getting the ball to the other side of the field. He's done a nice job with 2 strikes in the time that he's played. So he's better. And this summer, getting a lot of at-bats this summer too was beneficial for TJ.
You mentioned Espinal's story earlier. I don't know that I've heard that. Can you tell that one, please?
Well, I think just getting into school, number one, learning English. He learned English by watching cartoons. That's how he taught himself how to speak English. And that was fascinating to me when we first started recruiting him. Gotcha told me that story, and it's very unique. But he had such a strong desire to be here that he made some things happen for himself, both his junior and senior year academically, that I would not say were easy. And this was a kid that was learning English along the way. 2 parents that speak minimal English, so raised in a Spanish-speaking home, coming to school at Vanderbilt and functioning well academically. So very much self-made in a lot of different ways.
Is it your freshman? Is it Dukanich? Is that
Dukanich? Yep.
Dukanich.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story on him getting number 80?
I just gave it to him. I guess that AD is A80, but for whatever it's worth, I don't typically give numbers because of that. I think he's Dukanich the 4th, so 84 would have been, I think, the number that he would have picked out, but 80 looks good on him. There's another kid that wore 80 that it looked good on too, so not to compare the two, but that's basically it.
Some of the pitchers that got into the ASU scrimmage, Hunter Owen and Bryce Cunningham, they pitched, a decent amount last year, but how are they coming along? And they potentially could be starters this year or relievers?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just started throwing again, so throwing again off the mound. They've been throwing, but they haven't thrown live off the mound, so that was their first time. So we'll just see how they develop and see how they best fit for us and what's best for our team. If they're a starter, they're a starter. If they're not, they're not. But I would see both of them having opportunity, both moving in that direction. But especially Hunter, just because he's older than Bryce and he's been in our program. And Hunter's an extremely hard worker and improving too. We talk about body movement down the hill and how he's improved. Certainly a lot better.
I was a little surprised not to see Calvin Hewitt start those scrimmages. What's the story with that?
No, I think he's playing well. He's a good player. They only put 9 out there, so yeah, kids just like him that are pretty good. But he got to play a fair amount the other day.
What was your rationale behind, having RJ Austin work out at first base?
Well, we needed someone to do it. Harper Nolan has done it, and we certainly could put some other freshmen over there, but to be honest with you, the first couple of days, I know Ray Velasquez has played third and first, so we put him over at first. But RJ is more of just getting him to just simplify what he was doing, more about just catching ground balls, and his quickness. Now that I've been able to watch him over the last 3 weeks, he operates well over there. He's got a quick burst. I'm not comparing the two as players, but I think their reaction to the baseball when it's hit is a lot like Austin Martin. And Austin, because of that, it gave you the opportunity to play Austin in a lot of different places, and I would say RJ's capable of that. He throws the ball extremely well. He's got a strong arm. He probably could play all 3 outfield positions, run the bases well, but you asked about defense. But once we put him over there, I just felt like for the time being, that was a good spot for him to learn, because it was more about just catching the ball and receiving the ball more than catching and throwing. He's reacted well to it so far. Never done it before though. He was always at shortstop, third base, second base.
He had an at bat against Samford that I think went 11 pitches that ended up with a double that he just about hit through the wall. What did that say about him as a hitter? Is that typical of what you see?
Well, that one at bat was good at bat. I used it as an example to the team because you're right, it was 12 pitches and that was their closer. And he was throwing the ball 95, 96 miles an hour, so he was firm, and he had a 12-6 breaking ball too. I think the most impressive thing was he fouled off 3 fastballs, and then he spun the breaking ball on him and he fouled that off. Then the very next pitch he threw a fastball, and that's the one that RJ hit. So what did it show me? Competitiveness to put the ball in play, and so far he's been able to do that. He doesn't give in easily with 2 strikes so far. You know, short doses, but I think he's been very competitive in the hitting department. Very competitive.
I would thought it was kind of interesting that Cade Law, plays catcher based on his quarterback background. Like, he was a potential Division I quarterback recruit. Do you see the skill set translate both in terms of the arm and kind of the leadership aspects that you need at those 2 positions?
Well, leadership, I think you'll see in time. He's a very mature kid, though. You could see quarterback in him, the way he handles himself and how he communicates with people and how he reacts to situations. I could see quarterback now. I've watched him play quarterback, so. But his personality, he's got a chance to be a leader in this program. Yep, I see maturity. You can tell he's well raised. Handles his business well. He's timely. He's on point. He just needs to play. He just needs to play a lot. He's one of those kids that, because he played football, which in my opinion has always been a good thing for a kid, there's a toughness factor to him. There's no doubt about that. He's been hit a bunch. But I think just how he operates inside of a day and his maturity would lead you to believe that he's very organized mentally. And I think if you're going to be a good quarterback, particularly in that program, then you have to be doing a lot of things right, and he was.
Maybe it's a lazy comp, but that sounds a lot like Tate Colwood.
Yeah, it's good. I think that's the way Tate was too. Tate was very organized, mature, on point, academically strong, good leader, loved people. Cade's got personality like that too. If you're a good quarterback and you're leading people, it's because you care about others, and that functions well in this program.
With some of the, older pitchers we haven't seen yet, are they pitching at all this fall, or just kind of preparing more for this?
They will, but they'll most likely pitch against hitters after the fall's over, the team period. So, yep, they will. I think the thing about starting late, Ari, is because you're starting late, you got to give pitchers a wedge of time where they can just put down the ball. And for a lot of those kids, like O'Reilly, or you can name another one that pitched over the course of the summer, there's some time where they're just putting down the ball and working on other things, whether it's delivery, development, whether it's strength, whether it's it could be numerous things. And I think that's where their attention's been more than anything. But Riley will start picking up the ball and throwing hitters here, most likely when we're done.
How about Sam and Michael Doolin? How far along are they?
Leboki was close to throwing this past weekend. I think Sam will probably throw coming up, whether it's this weekend or next weekend. Sam will get back into action. Doolin, I see him more December, January.
When you say throwing this week, you mean throwing against Arizona State or throwing on the side?
Throwing live against our hitters.
Okay.
When we go with our skin scrimmages and black and gold. We'll scrimmage Saturday and Sunday. So.
Where do you envision those guys helping you in the spring? I know that's an awfully long way off, but both have, I think, have had starter strength. You've got a lot of those, and where do you see them fitting in?
Well, Doolin was a starter before he got hurt. Sam was a starter before he got hurt, but Sam was so valuable because he was almost like that golden bullet. You just silver bullet, whatever you want to call it. You just use him whenever you felt like you could because he was reliable. He's a strike thrower with all his pitches. So, yeah, I think it's really about durability. It's really about what the guys can handle. You got to be mindful of what they've been through and what they've come back from. So you don't want to put too much on their plate too soon. But it wouldn't. If those kids developed into starters by May, by April, I don't know. I'm not going to put a timeline on it, but that could happen. But I could also see them doing other things too. So it's just hard to predict like what a Hunter Owen would be, what a Sam Leboki would be, what Mikey Doolin would be. They're all capable of doing a lot of different things.
What have you seen in Sam in terms of his strike throwing? I mean, you got to be careful in what you do, but have you seen more of what you saw in him as a freshman when he's pitched privately?
Yep. I mean, he steps into the bullpen situation and he's on point. He gets the ball to the glove. There's not big misses. There's small misses. I mean, it's more of a mature approach to pitching, which you would imagine in this case. But there was a mature approach to pitching even for him as a young kid. So, yeah, I'd just say that the body's different, stronger, albeit he's coming back from an injury, but yet his approach to pitching is older, like you would imagine.
Carter Holden and Devin Futrell, how are they looking right now?
Good. Not doing too much mound work. We'll work back into it though, most likely in December when we start back up again. That's where I think the difference right now versus January and February is going to be significant in terms of what those kids are doing. They're going to be building up to that.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, gang.